Hey guys, it's Sam. So this recent Crayola marker piece of this inverted parrot seemed to pick up a lot of traction with you guys. You guys seem to really like this over on Twitter, so first of all, thank you. But second of all, quite a few of you were like, oh my gosh, that's like amazing, and like, how did you do it? And I want to try it out too. So I thought I would talk about it in this video. So I'm first going to explain what I did to create this parrot drawing. So here's my original drawing. That's the finished product. This is the reference photo that I used. I got it from Pixabay. I just kind of found a random picture that I found appealing and went ahead, put it in Photoshop, but you can use pretty much your phone. A lot of online websites do this. Lots of programs do this, so you don't need Photoshop. I just have Photoshop, so I might as well use it. So I put it in Photoshop, and then I just inverted the picture and used that as my reference photo. So going back, pretty much just, going with the flow and what the reference was. And then when I was finished, I went ahead and inverted it, as you can see down here. And then you can just re-invert back the original reference and just kind of see where some things were hit and miss. And I think it's really important to kind of invert back the reference, assuming you do use a reference, because it kind of shows you that's a little bit difficult if you're not used to drawing or coloring invertedly, like I am not. I'm very new to this. So I can kind of see where I might have wanted to change things in the future. Like I might have wanted to make my blue more bold down here because I think the yellow is just a little bit weak. So for the future, the blacks are a lot stronger than I expected. So leaving a lot of that white space, it really does make a difference. So again, something for me to be mindful in the future. So just kind of going back and forth and observing what you did right, what you did wrong, what you could improve, things like that. So that was the parrot, and now I kind of want to get into what inverted colors are, how to kind of predict what they would be if you're kind of just doing this on your own, that sort of stuff. So a quick mocked up this color wheel. It's not very good, but it gets the point across. The important thing to note with inverting colors and doing this whole inversion challenge and practice with color is that you're using a different color wheel than you might expect. The normal color wheel that most artists are probably used to is the subtractive color wheel. I talk about this a lot more in my Fundamentals of Art series with color. I'll put a link in the description as well as in the card for you guys to go check that out. I do recommend it. It's still quite a helpful video. So the TLDR of it is you're using the additive color wheel. So your primary colors are red, green, and blue, RGB. And when you are doing inverted colors, you are working with complementary colors. And so I want to really emphasize that it is the additive color wheel and not the subtractive, because they have completely different complementary colors. So for the additive color wheel, your complementary colors are blue and yellow, red and cyan, and green and magenta. So when you're working with inverted colors, you want to think opposite. So if you want to make something that's green, you'll want to use magenta. And same with values. So if you want to make something black, you either make it or leave it white, and vice versa. If you want something to be white, you need to make it black. So if you want to make a dark blue, you'll need to make a light yellow. I know it's kind of a lot to wrap your head around. I'm still getting used to it. Swatching your tools is really important, and I highly recommend it, whether you're using either digital or traditional tools, just to kind of get you warmed up and used to the medium that you will be using. Since for this project I'm using Crayola markers, it's a set of 10, I want to make sure I swatch them out, get used to what they look like in their normal state, and then invert that to see what they look like in their inverted state. So it's going to look a little bit different if you really layer something on or if you kind of taper things off. So it's worthwhile to experiment with your tools to kind of see what kind of different variations you can get. So here is the swatched out result. It's not the most beautiful photo. I used my phone, but it gets the point across. So once again, inversion, and this is what we get. And obviously with most mediums, you'll be able to mix and blend things. So you won't have to worry about getting these straight colors and be like, oh, well, there's not really a green I see that I like. Well, you need to mix the colors to kind of get the green that you'll want, sort of thing. Now, from here, once you understand that inverted colors are using the additive color wheel, you can go ahead and go off on your own and try it out and see what sort of crazy stuff you can do, or you can use references. There's nothing wrong with using references. It can be very helpful, especially if you're new to a medium, a style, some sort of method, or like this. Inverting colors is really complicated. Color in general is already a very complicated and very detailed. There's like a lot into color that you can go. It's already a difficult subject, and now you're talking about inverting everything, you're changing everything, you're flipping it all on its head. That just makes things even more complicated. So don't feel bad if you're like me and you really need some help and you need to use references. But also don't feel like you 100% need to use references, because it's also important to kind of play on your own and just see what happens and kind of have fun with it and not care about the results. So if you want, I would suggest having a nice, happy, even medium of using references and not using references. But it's always good to check your work. So whenever you're done, or even during the process, periodically just invert the drawing and see what you have, see what's going on. So for the drawing I'm about to do, I went ahead and grabbed this other picture, just another bird, just a lot of colors. I thought it was a really pretty picture. So using our newfound knowledge of the additive color wheel and complementary colors, I want to go ahead and see if you can take a moment, pause the video, and see if you can kind of guess what sort of colors we'll be looking at if I inverted this picture. And if you need to rewind or Google search the additive color wheel, that's fine. I still struggle, like, don't feel bad. So go ahead, take this moment, see if you can figure out what the colors will be. And 3, 2, 1, inverted. How'd you do? So this will be what I will be coloring, this shading, this sort of thing. So you'll notice that all of the blacks have turned white, all the whites are now blacks, all the blue and various shades of blues are like reds and oranges. Everything, like I said, flipped on the head. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this reference photo, draw it, see how it goes, and we will come back and analyze it and see how I did. So since I'm using Crayola markers, I figured I would just quick talk about that sort of process since people have been asking me about it. But anyway, basically I use a mix of straight marker plus water. I use water brushes, but that's 100% not necessary. You could use regular brushes and just water. Crayola markers are a water-based medium, so you can use water to help mix and blend with them, and that can kind of help with layering colors and getting certain shades and sort of getting your darker and lighter values. I've done pieces where I've used mostly straight marker, and I've done pieces where I've used basically no straight marker, and my preference is actually sort of a mix in between, because I think not using the marker directly on the paper sort of leads things to be really pale and light, and using a lot of marker can make things really bold, and just having that balance I think really makes it look nice. I'm using Canson mixed media paper, which isn't the best paper, but it's not too bad for this process of Crayola markers. When mixing with water, I'll either put the marker straight on the paper and blend from there, or I'll take the water brushes and remove the ink directly from the water, either from the marker tip itself or from the little bits of marker that get on the barrel. If you guys would like to see more breakdown or step-by-step process of how I do my Crayola pieces in the future, let me know and I will definitely do a video on that. Alright, so here is the finished drawing. I, again, took a picture with my phone, so it's not like super beautiful or accurate, but it's close enough. I'm lazy. So here's the completed drawing. I'm going to go ahead and invert it. Actually, let me go ahead and invert back this picture and see how I did. Alright, so I have the picture in the corner. Let's go ahead and compare. Ooh, I'm nervous. Boop. Oh, okay. Okay, so I can see some things right off the bat. You don't have to self-critique, but I do particularly enjoy it because I like to see where I might be weak in, where I could improve on, that sort of thing. So ignoring the drawing aspect and the inaccuracies of the bird, because I don't really care about that, I'm caring about the colors, I do notice that, aside from the scratchiness that just sort of comes with trying to blend Crayola markers, I feel like I could work a lot more on my values on these particular pieces. I think the colors are relatively okay. It's just mostly now trying to find that balance of white and black, but inverted. There's some little things I could nitpick here and there. Mostly just comes down to the accuracy of the drawing or just specific details. But all in all, I think it came out pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it, and I'm looking forward to doing some more inverted drawings and see if I can improve upon it, maybe get some more complicated subjects. I'd also really like to try and do some on my own just to kind of see what happens when I'm not relying on a reference and I'm kind of relying on my brain and the additive color wheel, and lots of exciting ventures and things to do with this challenge. These have just been way too much fun. Definitely expect to see me doing more of this sort of stuff later. So if you guys are going to take on this challenge, let me know in the comments down below. And if you have taken on this challenge already, feel free to share with all of us what you've created. And that's pretty much it for this video, so hopefully you guys enjoyed it. So thanks so much for watching! Bye!